Tonight, a torrent of water suddenly forces thousands from their homes.
I'm still under shock. It's like not realist.
A dike gives way, inundating a Montreal suburb, and the floodwaters are still rising.
A deadly shooting in a synagogue on a holy day.
She jumped in front and yelled, "Stop."
Incredible acts of heroism.
Terrorism, evil will never prevail.
And defiance in the face of hate.
And someone is absolutely telling you, there's no space for you here. And I remember being so upset.
She's broken barriers in Hollywood, racked up award after award, and never forgets her Canadian roots. Sandra Oh is our Sunday interview. This is The National.
In just 24 hours, more than 5,000 people in a Montreal suburb have been forced from their homes. A major bridge in Ottawa has been closed, and waters are still rising. That's two provinces tonight, where flooding is going from bad to worse.
2 years ago, we thought this was the 100-year flood. We didn't know it was going to be the 2-year flood.
After more than a week of battling back the water, residents and volunteers on the banks of the Ottawa River are now battling exhaustion. With the city and surrounding areas a flurry of sandbagging, soldiers pitching in, and some residents packing up. At the same time, across Quebec, more than 5,500 homes have been flooded, a number that almost doubled overnight. And here's why. In a suburb of Montreal, relentlessly rising water struck all at once. A natural dike breached, and as Simon Nakonechny explains, all that water started rushing into the neighborhood like lightning, and the evacuations were almost as sudden.
They came back for their pets, their medication, whatever they could carry, but most just watched helplessly from dry land.
I'm still under shock. It's like not realist. I just can't believe it. I'm still like in a dream. I just can't believe I'm going through this.
Last night, around supper time, a dike protecting thousands of homes in the Montreal suburb of Sainte-Marthe-sur-le-Lac failed. The waters of the Lake of Two Mountains came rushing in. So fast, there was no time to do anything but flee.
Some people came knocking on the door, hurry up, so we went, and I got there, and as I got there, you could see it was like a tsunami. It was just, you could hear the branch and the trees just crashing. It was incredible.
So far, there are no reports of injuries or missing persons, but the breach flooded around 2,500 homes, about a third of the city. Emergency crews and the army helped thousands escape. Some found shelter at an arena nearby. Most stayed with friends or family.
We evacuate. They took my mom like on their shoulders, and well, the army, the Canadian Army, good job.
Authorities say the gap can't be plugged, although some tried in vain. Instead, 2 new dikes will be built to stop the water from spreading. The Premier warned residents to keep their distance.
It may get worse, unfortunately, because we may have an increase in the level of the Lac des Deux Montagnes. So it may increase, let's say, for the next 2 days.
What happened shows just how fragile the balance is for many areas still trying to hold back the floodwaters. Despite all the preparations, just one weak spot can lead to devastating consequences. Simon Nakonechny, CBC News, Sainte-Marthe-sur-le-Lac, Quebec.
Now, further west, Ottawa is in a state of emergency tonight. The rain there has fortunately tapered off, but water levels are still rising fast. Take a look at this. Officials shut down the Chaudière Bridge linking Ottawa and Gatineau this morning as waters crept up to unprecedented levels. 1,200 people in Gatineau have already registered for disaster assistance. And they'll need all the help they can get. To date, more than 1.5 million sandbags have been filled, and communities on both sides of the Ottawa River are still asking for volunteers. That's because the water isn't expected to peak here until Tuesday or Wednesday, and it could still rise another meter in some areas. Now, one community bracing for the worst is Cumberland in the far east of the city. Some residents refuse to leave, and as Olivia Stefanovic shows us, the water is inching closer and closer.
This isn't the first time Maggie Bourbonnais has seen her street underwater.
How high is it here?
Over 5 feet.
Over 5 feet.
Yes.
Wow.
She lived through the historic floods in 2017, but this time she's prepared. Neighbors built this bridge out of their docks.
It's surreal. It's overwhelming to see all this water.
The Ottawa River is usually behind this yellow sign, but as you can see, this is how far it's come. Canadian Armed Forces troops are here helping out because the water continues to rise.
But Bourbonnais and her neighbor Erica Fleming refuse to leave, even though the electricity is cut. So the pumps and the generators have to stay on 24 hours a day, or her basement will be filled with water. And that poses another danger: carbon monoxide poisoning, forcing officials to check on them every hour.
At times, it makes you tear up a bit, but you get used to it very quickly, and then you just deal with it. You're in fighting mode, and that's what happens. It's your home and your family, and you prepare and you do what you have to do.
In the Bourbonnais backyard, the overflowing river has already claimed her shed. The water is inching closer to her home. She plans to stick it out.
We've got everything we need, except dry land.
It could be a month, even longer, before the water fully recedes. A tense wait that these two women are determined to endure to defend two dream homes. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, further east in New Brunswick, the situation there is slowly improving. The Red Cross is starting to hand out cleanup kits to homeowners. The water is expected to start dropping along the St. John River, but it'll still be days before they fall below flood stage. Many roads are still flooded across the province. The Trans-Canada Highway still closed as well. And Rosie, tomorrow the Defence Minister is planning to tour affected areas around St. John. But for now, let's turn to a big story south of the border: a terrible shooting.
Yeah, Andrew, for the second time now in 2 weeks, it was a place of worship that became a place of mourning. This time it was a California synagogue at a service marking the end of Passover.
I hear about 6 or 7 gunshots, and I heard a male voice yelling, and then I heard about another 6 or 7 shots, and then it went quiet.
4 people were shot. One 60-year-old, Lori Kay, died.
Friend Lori Kay, a blessed memory.
The temple's rabbi was among the injured.
I lost my index finger on this hand.
8-year-old Noya Dahan was also hit.
So this was like a pretty big piece, and then it went back here.
So was her uncle. The suspect, 19-year-old John Ernest, tried to flee.
I chased him out of there. He was firing when I got to him.
The gunman didn't get far. He surrendered nearby. A man using Ernest's name posted a hateful rant an hour before the attack. In it, he claimed responsibility for an arson last month at a mosque. The suspect is charged with 1 count of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. So obviously many worshipers are still shocked, still trying to make some sense of what happened, and some of them spoke to our Kim Brunhuber.
And then if you come here, you'll see there's 2 sets of steps.
Deborah Trestman shows me the path from the synagogue through her backyard, which dozens used to flee, screaming and crying.
The congregants were so panicked, they just pushed and ran through it.
Her husband and son had just taken their places in the synagogue when all of a sudden they heard the shots.
We dropped to the floor along with some other people around me. And I think the things that were going through our heads was the fact that, this guy is just going to mow us down, and it'll be a big bloodbath.
A young man had stormed into the synagogue with an assault rifle, shooting 4 people, including the Trestmans' longtime friend, 60-year-old Lori Kay.
She was afraid the shooter would hurt my daughter and some of the kids, or the rabbi, and she jumped in front and yelled, "Stop!" And they shot her straight in the heart. And she had a good heart. She got a shot in the heart.
We saw some hole in her chest.
Shimon Abitbul, who was a paramedic in Israel, tried to save her. Today, raw with emotion, he's still trying to grapple with what happened.
I don't know why. Why are you going to win?
The congregation's rabbi, who says it could have been a bloodbath had the shooter's gun not jammed, called on the government to do more to keep houses of worship safe from terror.
We will not let anyone or anything take us down. Terrorism like this will not take us down.
Now, across from the synagogue, a traffic light has been transformed into a memorial. To the growing pile, Rebecca Estep adds flowers she grew at home a few blocks away. Estep says she too knew the victims. This, the latest in a string of attacks on places of worship around the world, has left her shaking her head.
It's just a sad commentary on how so many people feel disenfranchised right now.
At the Trustmans, two neighbors come over for a hug. The only way to heal, they say, is to reject the hate that darkened the door of their synagogue.
We can bring lightness to the darkness of these kinds of acts by doing one more random act of kindness.
By showing more love, he says, we can stop even the most evil things in this world. Kim Brunhuber, CBC News, Hawaii, California.
Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein spoke powerfully today, not just about what happened inside his synagogue and his own injuries. He also gave a powerful call to action.
We need to battle darkness with light. No matter how dark the world is, we need to think of light. A little bit of light pushes away a lot of darkness. A lot of light will push away much more. And the Rebbe would say, we all need to teach everyone, no matter what religion you're from, we need to do random acts of kindness. We need to tilt the scale. There's so much darkness now in the world, but you and I have the ability to change. I will never forget yesterday. My missing finger will forever scar me physically, but it's going to remind me how vulnerable we are, and also how heroic each one of us can be. This Friday night, this Saturday, go to your synagogue. We need to fill up those rooms. We need to show them that terrorism, evil, will never prevail.
This is the third deadly attack on houses of worship in recent weeks. Last month, the mosque shootings in Christchurch. 1 week ago on Easter Sunday, Christian churches were bombed in Sri Lanka. Susan Ormiston is there tonight to show us why people are now too scared to worship in public. That's a little bit later on The National. It's an important weekend for diplomacy here in Ottawa, with the Japanese Prime Minister making a whirlwind visit to meet with Justin Trudeau. Japan is the world's third largest economy. While trade was obviously on the agenda, it was the tensions with another country that really overshadowed their discussions. Katie Simpson explains why.
This was a chance for Canada and Japan to deepen ties. But the Prime Minister clearly had another country on his mind.
On the occasion of 90 years of diplomatic relations between Canada and China, Canada and Japan.
Twice, Justin Trudeau mistakenly said China when addressing Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
The tremendous friendship that we celebrate every day between Canada and China. Thank you, Shinzo.
Those stumbles could be because China was a significant point of discussion behind closed doors. Both countries have citizens detained by Chinese authorities. Ottawa is in the more difficult spot after angering Beijing with the arrest of Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou.
As countries like Japan and Canada continue to engage economically with China, we have to deal with some of these challenges.
As the U.S. retreats from the global stage, China is trying to fill the void where it can. The shifting world order is a concern for both Trudeau and Abe.
Nothing can replace the United States as the champion and the leader of what we'll call the free world. But as it takes a holiday under President Trump, then I think it's important that constructive powers like Canada, like Japan, stand up working with others.
Canada and Japan are trying to do that, promoting traditional international cooperation, including their new Pacific Trade Pact, the same one the U.S. quit after Donald Trump was elected. Their message isn't of much use unless it resonates at the White House.
We should cooperate together so that the United States will be encouraged to be the leader of the liberal free world.
Whether Donald Trump wants to listen to either leader is anyone's guess. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now to a deadly twist of fate in Seattle, where the tech boom is driving a surge in construction. But yesterday, large parts of a crane came crashing down onto a busy street. Tonight, there is grief for 4 lives lost, but also a nagging fear, a question. Could this happen again? Briar Stewart tells us what we know so far.
In a city where dozens of cranes dot the skyline, there are now serious questions about safety after a sudden and violent collapse.
It started to lean, and when I say lean, it didn't stop its lean. It was going the whole time, but before I registered, it was actually falling. It was leaning first and then just kept on going.
Crushing 6 vehicles below. 2 workers inside the crane were killed, so were 2 people sitting in cars on the street. One of them, a freshman at Seattle Pacific University.
Oh, just when the crane come down, we just come running down to help people out.
Dean Kashmir was in Seattle getting cancer treatment when he saw the crane fall. He and his father rushed to help.
Said there's a baby in the car, and I ran around the other side because I didn't know what car, because there was 3 cars, and she was screaming and yelling on that.
That's what was left of their car. Incredibly, the mother and her 4-month-old baby who were inside were not hurt. The crane had been perched on top of a building which is part of Google's new Seattle campus. Officials believe it was being dismantled just before it fell. A team of investigators will examine the work that was underway, as well as the weather at the time, as there were reports of strong winds. But they warn it could take months to find out just what went so horribly wrong. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Vancouver.
Cranes jutting up into the sky is a pretty common sight in Seattle. And in the U.S., that is the city with the most of them, with 59 at last count in January. But even that pales in comparison to the North American city with the most cranes, Toronto, with 104. The construction company that keeps track says the city's January crane count was the highest in North America ever.
Huh. There you go. Among the other stories we are following tonight, floodwaters continue to rise in Mozambique in the aftermath of Cyclone Kenneth. Roads are submerged and flights and helicopters are grounded. At least 5 people are dead, thousands more stranded. It comes less than 2 months after Cyclone Idai, a devastating storm that has left nearly 2 million people still in need of aid. Spain went to the polls today. The governing Socialist Party won, but fell short of a majority. And for the first time since the 1970s, a far-right party has won seats. Oh man, snowy highways in southern Alberta reopened today as stuck or smashed vehicles were removed. A spring storm caused over 100 crashes this weekend. Some areas got as much as 30 centimeters of snow. That really sucks. Still ahead on The National, a BC photographer got the story of a lifetime when some eagles decided that they were ready for their close-up.
Also, if you saw the latest Avengers movie this weekend, you're far from alone. Endgame is shattering box office records.
And my chat with Sandra Oh, including her late-night Canadian shout-out. As a host of CBC's The National, I was very happy to see you in the T-shirt.
Did you? I was like, okay, I have three opportunities. What am I going to do? I'm going to do a shout out to my Canadian peeps.
The Sunday interview is coming up.
In Sri Lanka's east, police were edgy today as they raided a base of an Islamist group linked to last week's devastating terror attacks. And it follows another raid Friday night that led to a raging gun battle with terror suspects who then blew themselves up, along with 10 civilians said to be their wives and children. This child was caught in the crossfire and survived. ISIS says 3 of its militants were in that house, a claim bolstered by what police say they found: bomb-making materials and a flag ISIS has made infamous on battlefields around the world. All of it, this massive security response, triggered by those deadly coordinated terror attacks on Easter Sunday. 6 separate blasts, 250 people slaughtered. Today, all churches in the country were closed. Susan Ormiston is in Sri Lanka, where after the blasts, the country still feels like it's being pulled apart.
Faith at St. Sebastian's is being tested. Its sanctuary still shattered. No refuge here, not yet. Sunday Mass was forbidden, too risky. Church leaders convinced the threat to Christian worship is still real, especially where the scars are so raw.
Sacred moment of lighting of the lamps.
The Fernando family were caught in the pews when the bomber detonated. Wounded and sad, they watched a live morning mass from Colombo led by Sri Lanka's Archbishop.
We are truly sorry for all the families that have lost their loved ones and their dear ones. And I ask you, dear brothers and sisters, please pray for them.
Sashika remembers a sudden explosion, screaming, then roof tiles raining down on them. A lot of people fell down dead. I couldn't believe what was happening. Jasmine's husband was able to get them all to hospital in his car.
Why do you think you survived?
That's what I'm also asking. Maybe God still wants me alive. He's keeping me. The lady next to me was broken in 2.
And the other side?
They only got out of hospital yesterday and went straight to the church to see it. It was like a jolt, Sashika said, realizing their wounds almost killed them, like 250 others. Across the country, churches are barricaded. More soldiers deployed to St. Anthony's than fathers. A massive cleanup is underway, assisted by the Army and the Navy. The clock stopped when the bomb detonated, throwing Sri Lankans back to a violent time. Sri Lanka has endured decades of ethnic and religious violence, but almost never directed at the Christian minority. So when suicide bombers attacked here at St. Anthony's and 2 other churches, security officials concluded this was born of internal tensions, but linked to a wider terror plot.
I was absolutely shocked that it was a minority on a minority.
Dr. Pikia Soti Saravanamuthu is executive director of the Center for Policy Alternatives.
I think people are still in a state of shock. Those who are affected are still grieving, and that grief sometimes turns to anger. It's when are we going to be able to draw a line under this and say the worst part is over and we're not going to have any kind of violence.
Sri Lanka is majority Buddhist, about 70%. Hindus, Christians, and Muslims make up the rest. Last year, Buddhist-Muslim tensions escalated into riots amidst a vile hate campaign.
There have been all the accusations that the Muslims are working in ways to push the Sinhalese into a minority position in the capital city, that they are giving Sinhalese women sweets to make them infertile, all sorts of Goebbelsian kind of propaganda to suggest that the Muslims were trying to take over.
Friday, as Colombo held its breath, some Muslims walked to prayers at the Mount Lavinia Mosque. Vehicles were forbidden, security was tight. We were invited to hear from a young imam, Secretary of Youth Affairs, who delivered a stern caution.
Let us take this very clear. Terrorism does not have a religion. Terrorism is an industry. Islamophobia is an industry. So they actually frighten people, they make people scared, do not get closer.
Only a quarter of the usual faithful came to pray, afraid there will be violent reprisals against them for the bombers' murderous actions.
We as Muslim community and religious leaders and civil leaders, we are ready to cooperate with the government in order to defuse the situation.
What is your greatest fear in the next few weeks and months?
There is fear here and there. The only fear that now we have it, our community might get split into two. One is the ordinary community and the extreme groups. But people will have different view, but that view should not lead to extremism. That should not lead to terrorism.
The cost to this island nation is immense. Relative stability was encouraging investment and luring visitors. Already, business is slumping, which will quickly affect jobs.
And now it's going to take at least 5 to 10 years, I think, to recover.
That long?
I think so, because this has hit at the heart of this whole question of would you want to come and invest in this country?
In the face of terror, leaders of all faiths are urging calm and tolerance. Buddhist leader Venerable Dambara Amilatero joined an interreligious vigil this weekend, a quiet show of strength. He acknowledged some Buddhist monks have inflamed divisions, but believes the country can resist powerful pressures to sink it back into violence. We invite the international community to help us rebuild, he says. Come here, don't abandon us, because the existing sense of harmony will let us win. It is a burning desire for nearly all Sri Lankans, fearful of the ghosts of a violent past. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Colombo.
And still ahead on The National, going public after this man's very mobility was taken away by airport authorities.
And my interview with Sandra Oh on knocking down barriers and kicking at the ones still standing.
A lot of people thought that we were done now and that women are equal. Yeah. By the way, it's not done. We're still in the we're in the whole tapestry of it. And it just happens.
Tonight, meet two men who covered war with a crayon. Historians with a difference. Two men who traced the personally experienced events of two wars in their dog-eared sketchbooks. Perhaps the world's best-known war cartoonists, Bruce Bairnsfather and Bill Mauldin. It's 40 years since Bairnsfather's war ended, 13 years since Mauldin's came to its double finish. Yesterday was the day allowed for the act of recollection. And weekend editor Gregory Clark had a few thoughts about remembrance.
How little war really means to us is best demonstrated in the fact that we set aside 1 minute of silence out of the 5,256,000 minutes of the year as a mark of respect and mourning for the 58,000 Canadians killed in action in the First War and the 39,000 in the Second War. We declare a whole day for remembrance, but we gravely suggest 1 minute for silence, and hardly anybody remembers. Thus lightly is war brushed off by all save the true mourners, and even some of them forget. For reasons of convenience, many of the formal observations of November 11 were held on Saturday and Sunday, November 8th and 9th. A woman of my acquaintance lost her husband in the First War and her son in the Second. She was invited to attend ceremonies on each of the 3 dates, one by her husband's regiment, one by her church, and one by her son's school principal. I offered to be her escort on each or any of the occasions. As a matter of fact, she said, declining, every day is Remembrance Day with me, every day, every night, all the years through. War, you see, except for the brief time it rages, is not a public matter at all. In the long view, it's almost entirely a private matter.
And so it was for Bill Mauldin and Bruce Bairnsfather. By accident, their private view of war became familiar to millions, but remained no less private. Bruce Bairnsfather was a man of elastic temperament. No amount of fatigue, hardship, peril, or pain could quench his vital spirit or reduce his exuberant sense of humor. Before 1914, he'd been many things, now a regular soldier, now an engineer. He had no thought of sketching except for mischief on walls, shirt cuffs, or tablecloths. Without the war, he might never have put pencil to paper for publication, but the war insisted. Charles Templeton met him for close-up.
This is your most famous drawing, the better old, isn't it, Captain Bruce?
I suppose it is. Everybody seemed to take to this one more than any other.
How did it come to be drawn?
Well,
did you see some incident like this?
Yes, I happened to be in a battle and was trying to get out of it, to be perfectly candid, and I was running about this field, and as I did so, I saw a whole crowd of fellows stuck in a shell hole together, not only two, but several of them, and it all struck me as very pathetic to see anybody in such a predicament. Nobody knew whether the war was over there or over here, and I thought this thing over for some time and nursed the idea in my mind.
Another major honor for Sandra Oh this weekend, presented by Julie Payette, no less. Oh accepted the Governor General's Performing Arts Award, recognizing the extraordinary work of an artist over the past year. Extraordinary may even be putting it mildly for this hardworking and highly respected Canadian actor. This has been the year of Sandra Oh.
Well, that was fun.
It was fun.
Should we head home?
No, there's a lot more.
Hosting the Golden Globes with Andy Samberg.
I love Americans. You are confident and direct.
Hosting Saturday Night Live while wearing a certain iconic Canadian symbol. She also made history.
I am going to find the thing you care about, and I am going to kill it.
This fall, she became the first Asian woman nominated for an Emmy Award as Best Lead Actress in a Drama Series for her work on Killing Eve. She won a Golden Globe for that role.
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to my family.
And if that's not enough, Oh found herself on the cover of Time when the magazine named her one of the 100 most influential people of 2019. On Friday, she was in her hometown of Ottawa to receive her latest accolade, a Governor General's Performing Arts Award. I met up with Sandra Oh in Ottawa.
It's so wild to be back in this building.
Mm-hmm. Because you performed in here.
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Not only performed, it's like I grew up, in Nepean, so all shows, all these things were here at the NAC, so it's really wild to be back and walking down these halls.
It does feel like you are having a moment. Does it feel like that to you?
It's tricky. There's moments where I feel like I have been able to process it only after, like there was I just started the year like hosting the Golden Globes. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. So the only when I was able to like experience it after it was done in some ways, because I had done my job and it was over. Yeah. And that's when I really felt like I was able to like enjoy it and say, oh, great, I accomplished that. It was great.
You took a little moment that I think was unexpected to some people.
Because I see you. And I see you. All these faces of change. And now, so will everyone else.
I knew when I was writing it and working with the writers, it could possibly be some of the most important words that I say, because it is such a large platform. And what I just wanted to do is to get the piece of truth that I do believe is that change is slow, but I'm experiencing it because I have been in rooms like that before.
Yeah.
And I know I've been the only person of color in a very wide radius.
Yeah.
So the fact that I knew that Crazy Rich Asians and Black Panther was in the room, as well as Roma, I needed to address it.
Where do you assess where we're at with that?
I've been asked this question
Yes,
often, like where are we?
Yeah.
And I don't want to give some sort of impression that lets people off the hook. You know what I mean? Because
like we're
it's
done now.
We're done now.
Right.
Because a lot of people thought that we were done now and that women are equal.
Yes.
By the way, it's not done. We're still in the
very much.
Yes, we're in the whole tapestry of it, and it just happens to be that you are this one thread. You are aligned with other people in this thread, and last year or this year, it's like your thread is bright red.
When you think back, though, from when you got to LA and
Mhm.
people weren't even letting you in the room
Mhm.
and were
Sure.
telling you how you should look and all
Sure.
those things, how do you compare those moments to where you are now and where the industry is now?
I remember going down there, so this is the summer of '95, and meeting this one agent. And basically, to put it in a nutshell, she said basically go back home to Canada and go get famous, and then maybe you can come down here. At that point in my career, there's a lot of things that had already happened,
Mhm.
and in what you imagine is a natural progression of a career, right? And I'm relating it to the natural progression of a white actress.
Sure.
That this should be somewhat of a I'm trying to go the similar road,
course.
and someone is absolutely telling you, there's no space for you here. And I remember being so upset because all those things that you feared was happening. Someone who has this authority is telling you all those things that are in your head that you feel, that you also do exist, are real. So you should probably just give up. So then you jump to, when did I get this job? When did I get Killing Eve? 17?
Yeah.
Yeah, 17?
Yep.
And I'm reading this script, and I've talked about this before, and I actually couldn't figure out what part I was playing.
Yeah, you couldn't see yourself doing it. Yeah.
What does your pen? 1, 2, 3, 4.
To be jarred like that it's like, oh, I think that my persona and my identity is to move us along, and how deeply I am still affected by something that one of the pieces was that meeting with that woman in 1995. So that's where I feel like progress is slow, because really it has to be internal.
Yeah.
It really, I feel it has to be so deeply internal. It's what we are able to give and teach the next generation, because there's just too much history and unconscious history that we are not necessarily in control of.
So when you got that job, because I mean you were very well, you're very well known here, obviously, but Grey's Anatomy opened up a whole other world to you. But then something happened with this program, I would say, where you sort of, I don't know, what would you say?
What would you say? No, because when you're saying something happened, what do you mean by that?
I don't know. I think it was an unexpected place to see you. I
Why?
think that's,
or how?
Because you were sort of kicking ass a little bit. And two women in those roles kicking ass was sort of surprising to me. I don't know, is that what you were going for?
No, the only thing that I think, the only thing that matters is really what I was interested in.
Yeah.
And that's like the beautiful and the precious, and the part of the work of being an artist is to be selfish like that. And as long as it feels truthful, you go in full force.
Right.
As well with the comedy. Because it's not necessarily that the comedy is easier to do at all. At all.
No, I wouldn't think so.
Sometimes it's just like, oh, we're not getting it, or you're not actually, and you know when you get it or you don't.
So that's a good segue into SNL, where as a host of CBC's The National, I was very happy to see you in the T-shirt.
Did you? I was just
we were all like, yes.
I was like, oh, I noticed particularly Don Cheadle was wearing, like, making a choice of what he's going to wear. Like, what are you going to kind of transmit out there? And I was like, okay, I have three opportunities. What am I going to do? I'm going to do a shout out to my Canadian peeps.
That was
and I'm going to
good.
shout out to my Asian peeps.
Yeah.
And yes, that was. And I just thought, no one's going to really know this unless you're from Canada.
The game is simple. Each of you will get one of these marshmallows. You can eat it at any time, but whoever lasts longer will get a second.
I ate my marshmallow.
Oh.
I'm sorry, were we starting?
Yeah.
Was it scary?
It's so scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like in some ways I have or I had thought that I had somewhat of a persona of someone who's, who's gutsy and is like, I'll take that on, that, terrifying. Terrifying. It's really hard.
Was that one of those moments over the past couple of years where you thought to yourself, holy crap, like I am here? Like, or were you able to process that?
While it's happening, it's too much of a freight train that is going ahead, that all you want to do is just make sure that you hit the joke. But then when it's done, great.
Mm-hmm. A good high.
The high is so high. Then you understand why it's a very tough gig, SNL.
Yes.
And I just bow down to all of them.
Yeah. I want to talk about you being on the cover of Time, because I did hear you talking about how your parents then realized that you were famous.
Mom. It was Mom.
It was your mom. It took that to get her to...
Yes. I actually don't think she's ever...
She was at the Golden Globes. She's everywhere with you.
Yes, exactly. But I don't think that she's ever, not that you ever would say, oh, darling, you're famous.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I was just so hilarious. It was so hilarious that in her eyes, she suddenly recognized, you're famous because you're on the cover of Time magazine.
But last question about why we're here. What does that mean to you, having the Governor General's Performing Arts Award? Coming back to the place you grew up, the place you started, the country that loves you and owns you so hard.
Good.
What does it mean to get that recognition when you've had many, many things and you're, you know, what is it? Is it different in some?
It is, because I can't deny that a career has happened. I have to look at it, and it also, it forces me to, because I'm also not really good at this, to be proud of things. To say, you know, that happens. You know, and
why are you not good at that?
Have you met my mother?
I haven't. I've seen her. I've seen her.
Terrible. I don't know. I do actually think it might be something a little cultural.
Yeah.
I think that's also in the Canadian culture as well.
Yes. Oh, I do. I 100% agree.
I think it's definitely, you know, I got a double whammy. It's like, you know, you're Canadian and Asian, so the ability to kind of access that that self-recognition is, I gotta work and reach for that. But these are the moments that kind of put that into focus.
Yeah. So it's a joy to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
That was a really interesting chat, Rosie. I gotta say, I'm always surprised by people who, like her, you know, who reach this level of international superstardom and then yet still somehow don't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's because, you know, she's been working on this for decades to get to this spot, right? We all sort of have seen her a little bit, and now she's exploded worldwide, really. And I just thought she was an incredibly thoughtful person, and really takes her job as an artist, as an actor, very seriously in terms of what she's trying to convey and who she's trying to support and what kind of role model she is. I'm not sure I've met someone like that before, and that was quite pleasant to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's the job itself and then the higher calling, right? And that shines through in the way she talks. Still ahead on The National, Canadian airport authorities took away the battery for the scooter this man relies on to get around.
Canada is the only country that I've been to where I'm denied my human rights.
Now he's going public, but first. In case you missed it, the Avengers have conquered the global box office.
Hands down, this is one of the greatest films I've ever seen.
In just 5 days, Avengers Endgame has collected $1.2 billion US. That makes it the first movie ever to smash the $1 billion mark in its opening stretch. And the record it broke, another Avengers movie, Infinity War. It's all proof of just how dominant this franchise is. But after 11 years and 22 movies, Endgame brings this saga to a close.
It's both exciting in that you feel like you're going to get resolution. You're going to feel the sense of completion. But it's also terrifying. It's something we've been living with for over a decade now, is these films. We can rely on them almost every year. And when it came down to it, you know, not having this every year is going to feel strange.
Well, don't worry too much.
Thank you, Spider-Man.
Marvel and its parent company, Disney, don't plan on turning off the taps anytime soon. They've got a whole new round of movies still to come.
The summer of 1959 saw the completion of what could only be described as a mission. For those who were there, the names of Hill 70, Ypres, and Passchendaele recall memories of the bloody and bitter struggles of World War I. One man's memories held one nagging piece of unfinished business. During the Third Battle of Ypres, Guilford Tiny Seymour had come into possession of 2-gallon jugs of the finest Army-issue rum. When his outfit, the 7th Battalion of the Canadian Expeditionary Forces, moved out for battle, the jugs were too big to drink and too big to carry. Tiny hurried them away, buried them, and decided to come back when things had settled down. It was 43 years later when he had the chance to do so, and he did. On a trip to Europe with his wife, Tiny walked to an unmarked spot near a hedgerow in Belgium and began to dig. And there they were, just as he'd left them 43 years earlier. Mission accomplished. And, skål. Our first guest is a man with a great memory, Guilford Tiny Seymour.
Tiny, anybody who comes from the Maritimes will have heard of burying the jug out in the garden, and I've even heard of people not being able to find it in their own backyard. How did you get to this particular unmarked spot?
Well, I dreamt about it for over 40 years and talked about it, and this hedge, we went down to on the morning of the day of the 2nd of June, 16. We dug in behind a hedge, and the hedge crossed the Menin Road, and our trench crossed the Menin Road, and that left me just in a corner. And we all dug what we call punk holes.
And you were able to, those would have been gone when you went back this time.
I was given these 2 jars of rum by one of our captains to take back to Major Ford. Well, Major Ford had been knocked out, and I tried to tell him that, but he was in a hurry to get him moving. He said, never mind that, take him back. So I took him back. I came into them properly. I thought to myself, well, I might come out of this, so I buried them in my funk hole, figuring on coming back. But there only 29 men and 3 officers came out of the charge, and 4 men in my company. Or 3 men and a scared boy.
Did you worry all through World War II that the troops of that day might either find them or...
I tried to get out there, but they wouldn't take me. I was 100% pensioner.
Tiny, rum these days is rather weak. What was the proof of the rum that you buried?
It was about 60% overproof.
60 overproof. Well, that's more like it. Now, what I want to know is, where is the rum now? Is there any left?
There's a gallon at home, and it's going to be drunk on the 12th of November at our regimental reunion in the Georgia Hotel in Vancouver.
What happened
to the There's going to be a lot too many there to drink 1 gallon, I'm going to tell you that.
It's a good thing it's 60 overproof. It's going to go around a regiment.
Well, it was taken off me in Montreal, and on the way through, all the customs men happened to be veterans. They all did a little sampling, I think, and they told me it was 30 OP now.
Oh, I see.
I think they sampled it and added a little to it.
Charlie, at least Tiny, on this evening, you were a pretty big target.
A BC man says he was humiliated after an incident at the Calgary airport, and he wants the Human Rights Commission to step in. Stern Hodge is a double amputee and relies on an electric scooter to get around, but officials confiscated his batteries at the airport, forcing him, he says, to crawl during his vacation. Erica Johnson has this Go Public investigation.
Stern Hodge demonstrates how he had to crawl after the battery for his compact scooter was seized on a trip.
Having to crawl across the floor in front of my wife is the most humiliating thing that I can think of.
He's talking about an incident 2 years ago, traveling through Calgary International Airport. A security guard and agent from United Airlines told him he couldn't take the battery for his scooter on board. They cited security concerns. Lithium batteries can catch fire, so they seized them.
Canada is the only country that I've been to where I'm denied my human rights.
According to global standards, the airlines are supposed to allow people with disabilities to travel with batteries for medical devices as long as they're in carry-on luggage. Now, on an anniversary trip with his wife without his scooter, forced to do this.
Crawling across the floor.
A couple of months earlier, WestJet seized his batteries. That time, he only got them back moments before takeoff. United Airlines, WestJet, and Airport Security, CATSA, have apologized to Hodge. The airlines offered him travel credits. But since those incidents, Hodge says, he's been stopped more than a dozen times. Now he wants his case heard by the Canadian Human Rights Commission, where he can seek financial compensation for pain and suffering and discrimination.
When security can seize what otherwise should be able to go onto the aircraft, that leaves people with disabilities very vulnerable.
Over the past 3 years, the annual number of disability-related complaints filed with the Canadian Transportation Agency has steadily climbed to more than 500. Ultimately, Hodge says he's hoping for a ruling that forces airlines and airport security to abide by protections already in place. Erica Johnson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Of course, if you got a tip or a story for our Go Public team, you can get in touch with them at gopublic@cbc.ca.
And our moment is next, all about a Vancouver Island wildlife photographer who managed to get an extreme close-up and then some.
Doctor came in and said, I just heard that eagles landed in your lap. And I went, yep. Goes, okay, I've never heard of that one before.
On your left, Jimmy the Iceman McNeil, who zambonis at the Brantford, Ontario Civic Arena. And on your right, Octopus Al Sabatka, who refurbishes the ice for the Detroit Red Wings. Fan voting has made them the leaders in the contest for Zamboni Driver of the Year. Detroit fans are even turning up way before game time to watch Al do his stuff.
You know, I'm particular, so if I see anything that's wrong, a little chip of snow or something, you know, all that stuff matters a lot because a little snow can freeze and the guy hits it. Never know what can happen, you know?
Al's been Zamboniing for the Red Wings more than 20 years and has built up a certain celebrity, especially among kids entranced by what this stately, monstrous, and gently comical machine can do.
Wave at him.
Wash, scrape, squeegee, resurface, and smooth all at once. The kids compete to drive around with Al between periods. And they learn that driving a Zamboni is no quick study. It's a science and an art that can take years to perfect.
And going through all the gold creases all the time, you always have to lay a little extra water down, but that's where you wear it out.
Red Wing players like Brendan Shanahan appreciate that Al can almost tailor the ice to accommodate the fast-skating wings over a slower opponent.
Al's very good, and he takes it personally. I mean, we see him a lot. I mean, everybody knows Al. We're able to go out and make comments to him. He'll know when there's a tough night, you know, in the playoffs, if it's a humid day, and he'll respond accordingly, and he'll ask the players after the game, what'd you think of the ice?
But Shanahan is convinced that small-town Canadian arenas usually have sounder quality ice than large, overheated big league venues.
They're usually better. They're actually more consistent and better because you don't have the temperature of a 17,000-seat arena to deal with.
Which seems to suggest that the smallish Brantford Arena, about an hour's drive from Toronto, home to everything from junior B to kids hockey and pleasure skating, may soon have a hometown hero to brag about other than Wayne Gretzky. And it's fitting it should be McNeil, who's got Zamboni in his blood. His father was a Zamboni repairman. Jimmy graduated with a BA in history, but instead of an academic career, succumbed to the lure of driving a Zamboni. It was steady work in his hometown, and besides, it allowed him to deepen his appreciation of that wondrous invention.
This is the snow chopper. Sometimes you can hear the snow pile up in the augers, and what you need to do is keep it clear so they don't plug up. If they plug up, it means a trip off the ice to thaw everything out, and delays are not a good thing when you're trying to keep the ice surface clean and keep the customer satisfied.
It may help Jimmy's candidacy that the Canadian branch of the Los Angeles-based Zamboni Company is in Brantford, where they assemble about 100 of the 200 or more Zambonis sold around the world every year. The machine was the brainwave of Californian Frank Zamboni. Surprise, he wasn't a Canadian. Frank was tired of the time and effort necessary to keep the family's pleasure skating rink south of LA in top condition. It's still a small family company with 3/4 of the world's ice resurfacing business. Hand-assembled machines selling for $7,000 to $60,000 for the top-of-the-line beauty, which isn't all that different an operation from the prototype Frank patched together himself in 1949.
The design is basically the same as it is today.
The Brantford plant is headed by Frank Zamboni's grandson, also named Frank.
This is CBC News.
What makes it news to you?
One small step for man.
Is it something that tugs at your heart?
The Constitution is now home.
Or opens your eyes?
The Berlin Wall is coming down.
If the story matters to you, your community,
fires burning across the province,
or the entire world,
we're gonna build the wall.
You can always turn to us. CBC News, right where you are.
As a general rule, wildlife photographers know that sometimes they have to get uncomfortably close to their subjects. But on Vancouver Island, a bizarre and dangerous close-up with a pair of bald eagles. The best way to explain what happened is to show you, and that's tonight's moment.
Look.
Lisa Bell was out photographing a pair of bald eagles.
Now, I mean, what are the odds that you're sitting at the table and you're going to have eagles drop in your lap?
She had her camera pointed directly at them as they circled in the sky, and she kept snapping even as they came right at her.
I still had my camera, but I had some injuries. It's like something bounced off my chest, and it happened so fast. The scratch?
Yeah, and here it looks really...
Doctor came in and said, I just heard that eagles landed in your lap, and I went, yep. Goes, okay, I've never heard of that one before.
Still, she's choosing to see the bright side.
Yeah, I'm really lucky. It could have been a whole lot worse. I'm going to tell my grandchildren this story, and my grandchildren are going to tell their children this story.
But first stop, the National, I guess, for her. Good thing she got, I guess, the photographic evidence, right? Because that's sort of like the bald eagle equivalent of a fish story.
Yes,
no one would
indeed.
believe it if they heard it.
Yeah, I realize she's a photographer, but I still don't quite get why she didn't move. Like, could she not have snapped and moved? I didn't, that's curious to me.
But bald eagle, I mean, they've got to be pretty bloody fast, right?
Yes, and I think we also left out of that part what the bald eagles were doing
This
together.
was my question. That is an excellent question, right? Like, were they fighting, or?
I think it was the opposite, actually. More mating.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, okay.
We're going down the wrong road now.
That is not where I thought we were going with this conversation.
Right.
But there
Okay,
you go.
that's a good time to end.
Okay.
That's the National for Sunday, April 28th. Good night.
Good night.